Okay, so gradient is rise upon run. So on this particular applet, you can see the gradient is 2. All right, the gradient is 2 because there's 1 across and 1, 2 up. So here we have gradient 4. Now if I go right like that, it's actually undefined. All right, to get a gradient of 5, I'm going to have to move that down and across. So there we have a gradient of 5 because it's 1 across there and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 up. So gradient of 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, across 1 up 1. Across 2 up 1's gradient of a half. Across 3 up 1's gradient of a third, a quarter, a fifth, a sixth, all right, a seventh, an eighth, a ninth, a tenth. That's gradient of 0. The skiing man's not going anywhere. Now that's negative because from left to right he's going downhill. So that's your negative a tenth, negative a ninth, negative an eighth, negative a seventh, negative a sixth, negative, what are we now? A fifth, a quarter, 0.25, a third, 0.3 recurring, negative a half, and negative 1. Then we have negative 2, negative 3, negative 4, and negative 5. The negative 6, I'd have to go like that. So that app, GeoGebra, that's what's in my Google thing right at the beginning. Okay, we can also do it in Desmos. So here we have our little gradient girl, and that would be a gradient of 1, a gradient of 2, a gradient of negative 2, a gradient of negative 1. You get the idea. Now what we can do here is with settings, we can actually add the x-axis, whoops, and we can add the y-axis, all right, and projector mode. And we can also make sure that we have got a one-to-one relationship there, and that looks fine. Okay, so we want to have step 1, step 1. I don't think we need arrows. Okay, so that looks cool. So we should be able to, oh, that's interesting. I should actually have a step 1, axes numbers, minor grid lines. Okay, whatever, I haven't got quite what I want, but that's all right. So what we're going to do here is we're going to put some equations in. Y equals x, that has a gradient of 1. Because I can go across 1 up 1, or I can get my gradient girl and I can see across 1 up 1 that's got the same gradient. Now I can have y equals x minus 2. Same line, but it cuts the y-axis at the point when x is 0 and y is negative 2. So that's called the y-intercept. I can go y equals x plus 1. So you can see that's gone up and it cuts the y-axis when y is 1 and x is 0. So if I wanted to put plus 15, I'm on the gradient girl. Her graph, that's the equation of her graph. 14 is further down, 10 is further down again. So you can see this y-intercept is different on these 3 graphs, but the gradient's the same, they're parallel. Now let's have a look if the gradient was 2. So to make this green line a gradient of 2, I put a 2 in front of the x. The y-intercept stayed the same. To make the blue graph a gradient of 2, I put a 2 in front of the x. Again, the y-intercept is still negative 2. And for the red one, a 2 in front of the x. If I wanted to flip it the other way to make it negative 2, I simply need to put a negative in front of the 2, a negative in front of the 2, and a negative in front of the 2. So those are all parallel lines, but now they've got a negative 2 gradient. What about 0.2? That's a fifth, all right? I could put 20 make it really steep. So what I like you to do is make a new graph. So I need to go here and no, I just need to make a new blank graph. I need to scroll right up, new blank graph. Okay, so y equals x, y equals negative x, y equals 2x, y equals negative 2x, y equals 3x, y equals negative 3x. So you can have a play of those all go through the origin. They all go through 0, 0, but they've got different gradients. Okay, now if I wanted to, I could put plus c and add a slider for c. And so for all of these, I'm going to go plus c. So c is my y-intercept. Notice they're moving. They're all moving upwards. Now I can push play on my c. So you can see that those gradients are staying the same, but the y-intercept is changing. All right. And the other thing I can do is I can go y equals mx plus c and add a slider m. And if I push play on m, you can see that that gradient is changing. All the other gradients are staying the same. So let's just move it down a bit. Let's go to 2. Okay. So does that help anybody? A little bit? Yeah. Okay, done.